guys, this is April. I just a little bit ago took my wraps off, and you guys saw me do that video, and so so I have reshaped my nails and cleaned them, and I wash my hands right before I do my wraps. I wash my hands with dish soap. And I wash them really, really good and really kind of scrub on my fingernails to try to get any oils that might be on my fingernails off, okay? On top of that, I'm also going to use one of these alcohol, it's called a nail prep wipe, but it's just an alcohol wipe. It just happens to be that these ones from Jamberry are really big. You can also use, let's see if I can find one. These little alcohol wipes that you can get for like cleaning your glasses or whatever. You could also just use alcohol and a cotton ball. It doesn't really matter. It's just you're using it to clean all the oils off of your finger. Okay. All right. I'm super excited to put these wraps on. I actually designed these wraps in the nail art studio, and they're available. Anybody can buy them, which I think is super awesome. And it was really fun to make them too. And even customers can design their own wraps. So if you're like really creative and you like to do that kind of thing, you should definitely hop on there. And if you have any questions or anything, I can always help you. So you can get on there and make anything that you want. I mean, as long as it's not obviously copyright infringement or anything like that. It needs to be some kind of an image that is either a free graphic or possibly if you know the people who own the graphic and they've given you permission to use it, and you can provide that, then you can also use those images as well. Okay, so my fingernails are clean. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wraps and I'm going to decide which one is going to fit on my nail. Now, right now I'm going to do my thumb, and I happen to know that this one fits my nail pretty good. Now, what you're looking for is you want to find a wrap that fits on your fingernail but is not going to touch any skin, because if it touches the skin, then it's not going to stay on. It can't adhere to your skin. It adheres to your nail. So if there's even just a tiny little bit of a sliver on the sides, that's perfectly okay. It would be much better to have a little sliver than for it to not stay on the way that you want it to. The other thing is, if you do have a little sliver, like when you hold your hand out and you're looking at it, you're not going to even notice it. No one else is going to notice that. You'll know it's there, but nobody else is going to notice it. So you don't really have to worry about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to cut up right beside where I want to do, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this one in half, because you only need half for one finger. Okay, and we're just going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that, because it'll be easier to get it off that way. Sometimes I like to cut, if I'm doing like a mixed mani using different sheets and stuff, I'll go ahead and cut them all out and lay them out in front of me how I want them to be, so that it's easy for me to get them. But this one I'm going to use all of the same sheets from the one I designed, and maybe if I can get it to cut right there. There we go. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cut them out and lay them out in front of me. Okay? You have a couple different ways that you can do this. Either you can heat your wrap and then put it on your nail, or you can put it on your nail and then heat up the wrap and everything. It just kind of depends on what works best for you, and you're not going to know until you try. And the one piece of advice that I can give you guys, which I'm actually not going to do because I'm doing a video, is to start with your less dominant hand. So if you write with your right hand, do your right hand first. That way, you know, as you start getting a little bit more tired, frustrated, whatever you want to say, you'll have the easier hand left to do at the end versus the harder hand. Okay, you can take your wrap off of here, either using an orange stick, you could use your scissors, you can use tweezers, whichever way ends up working better for you. There's lots of different ways to do it, and it's not really an exact science. So You're just going to kind of play with it until you figure out what works, you know. But you do want to not touch the wrap with your fingers. Obviously, we're trying to keep oils off of the wrap, so you don't want to touch it with your fingers. Okay, I'm going to use tweezers because I kind of like being able to get a hold of it a little bit better. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing. Here we go. Okay, so I kind of just lifted it up off of the wrap. Would you guys go somewhere else to have your whisper conversation, please?
Yeah, I'm just watching.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I lifted it up off of the backing there, and I've got a hold of it in the middle here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and lift it off of there, and I'm going to turn on my heater, which I don't, you guys can't really see it very good. Here, let me move it over so you can see it. Okay, I'm going to turn it with the white, the white part of the wrap towards the heater. And I'm just going to let it sit there for a few seconds while it's warming it up, okay? And I just turned it on, so it might take a few seconds. And when it starts to kind of curl, like it's doing right now, that's about when you're ready to go. Okay, you just want to make sure it gets nice and pliable. Okay, but some of the wraps only take really hardly any time at all for them to get hot enough, and they curl really, really fast. And sometimes it's hard to put them on when they're curled, so that's the only thing you kind of have to be careful for. Now, also, when I was getting my nails ready, I pushed my cuticles all back. Okay, so that my cuticles were not in the way. They're all pushed back and ready to go. Okay, you guys can see what I'm doing, so I'm going to place that right there in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to put pressure, and I start at the top, and then apply pressure down, and then along the sides, and then along the sides. Okay, and there it is. It's on. Nice and stuck. Okay, after I apply it, I go ahead and I do this a couple of different times. I'll heat it up again to help make sure that it is adhered on there good. And I only do it for a couple seconds. Okay, now before I move on to the next part where you trim it and you file it off, I'm going to let it cool completely. There's a couple of things that you can do. Either you can turn your heater on. Usually I leave my heater on the whole time I'm doing this, but it blows cool air out of the bottom of it, which you guys can't see what I'm doing, but it blows cool air. And so I'll stick my finger underneath it, and it'll help blow cool air if I'm like in a hurry, if I'm just doing like one nail or two nails, or even as I'm going. I'll stick my finger under there, and it'll help cool it off. Okay. The other thing is you can wait, do a couple of fingers, and then you can go on to the next step. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do the other way that you can put a nail on, and then I'll go from there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to cut this second nail, which I know will fit my finger that I'm going to do next. I'm going to cut these guys in half. Okay, just like that. I'm going to take my tweezers and see if I can make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to pull that wrap off of there and kind of grab it from the middle. Okay. All right. I'm going to make sure that that finger is nice and clean. Okay. Now, whoops, sorry, I bumped you guys. Okay. The way that this one works is instead of heating up the wrap and then putting it on your finger, the way that you do it is you just place it. Whoops. See if I can do that. place it. But you don't really push it down like I did with the other one. Okay, now I'm going to turn it on. Let's see if I can move this where you guys can see it, and I'm going to heat it up. Now, obviously, this is a heater. It's going to get hot, so I need to be careful that I don't burn myself. You can also use a plastic bag, but when you're doing it this way, where you're heating it up and then applying the pressure and putting it on, that doesn't work as well, putting a plastic bag over it, like a Ziploc bag or something like that. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just taking it and I'm applying pressure from the top down, top down, along the sides. Just making sure that it gets all the way adhered to my fingernail the way that I want it to. Oh, look at how cute that little sucker's shoes are. Okay, I'm a little bit proud of it. Okay, once I do that, then I'm going to heat it up a little bit again. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to push it down. And I don't know if you guys can see this thumbnail right here. Totally like flaky and stuff. This poor fingernail got smashed in the car door. That was like 4 years ago, and it still is not the same. It still is just struggles. Okay, so that's on there good. I'm ready to go on to my next step. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that they are both cooled off all the way. I did do my wraps a couple of times where I, cut them and I used my nail file to file them off like right away as soon as I put them on. And you know what? Those wraps, they started to peel like right away and they didn't stay on as good. So, make sure you let them cool off before you try to do your next step. Okay? And if you do like all the fingers on one hand and then you trim them and you file them, then that works. That's probably like a perfect amount of time. And then you can move on to the next hand without funny long plastic things hanging off the ends of your fingers. Okay. I think I'm pretty good. Yep. Nice and cool. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a couple of different options that I can use. I can just use plain old fingernail. Wow, I can't even think of what those are called right now. Toenail clippers. There we go. Clippers. Okay, or you can just use scissors. And you just want to trim it to where it's just got, like a little bit left around your nail. Okay. And the same for this one. Oops. It felt weird when I pulled that one, but it didn't actually come off my nail. It just pulled off of my skin where it was stuck on my skin a little. Ah. You can see these guys are super sticky, huh? Doesn't want to let me cut it with that one. Let's see if I can do it this way. What the? And there we go. See, that worked kind of easier. Okay, so now I'm going to take my nail file and I'm going to file it in a downward motion, 90-degree angle, okay? And I just file it. And when I first read that, I thought, there is no way that that is going to work. But it sure does. So let me just show you guys a little bit. You can see it's starting to come off around where the nail is. And voila, there it is. It came right off. And now my nail looks super pretty, like a soccer ball field. Okay, I'm going to do this one. I gotta say, guys, doing these videos with you guys is super fun. But it's so hard to figure out an angle where I can show you exactly what I'm doing. I haven't got my setup figured out yet. Here we go. Okay. I keep my fingernails pretty short. I run a home daycare, so long fingernails just don't really work when you're taking care of little kids. It just doesn't do for me. There it is. So these work great on short nails. They work wonderfully on long nails. Easy and fun, and these will stay on there for up to 2 weeks, sometimes longer. Now, after I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to heat up my ends here. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to heat up the end here just a little bit, and I'm going to push pressure down on the edges again, just to make sure that everything is all nice and good and stuck. And that's what I'm going to do on all of my nails. And once you get used to it, once you get going, it goes super fast. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in.